Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many things going on this planet, and the population got to be the most dramatic of it all. Even 20 years ago, if someone would have told me the populations on this earth would never be able to sustain themselves, I probably would have looked at you like you lost your mind. But as the years roll by, and we keep hearing more and more about low birth rates and a bigger aging population, and more are dying than being born. It is so much going on. And now, for the first time in the history of America, there are more non whites entering the workforce than white. It's just unbelievable. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? These things must happen. This world must change. We got to take it back to the Bible scripture. This world has been given into the hands of the wicked. How do you get the world out of the hands of the wicked? You take it back. You destroy their population so they're not going to be able to fight anybody on this planet for a damn thing. So this came out in Business Insider, October 9th, 2019. The 20 countries facing population collapse. Now, these are the quote unquote developed countries, the ones that think they got high IQs and know everything and they've done everything on the planet, which we know they didn't. And they want to convince you that they are the best ones to lead. And that's another misnomer, ladies and gentlemen. That is so far from the truth, it's not even funny. How is it that the last people to arrive on the planet are the best to lead? That is the biggest lie ever told in the universe. If anything, we're just sitting back and watching them destroy everything. They are literally destroying the planet. And we are watching them go into panic mode because they can't replenish their population. And that's going to get worse. And they think the answer when they can't replenish their population is to go out and mass shoot, which takes your numbers down even more. Hey, y'all, real brilliant. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I can go on and on about that forever, but I'm going to get into this article. The 20 countries facing population collapse. And none of these countries are in Africa. But like I said, the people that claim they are so advanced, it's those nations. Don't look so advanced anymore, do you? Many countries face serious demographic headwinds in the decades to come. Low birth rate and immigration rates could lead to rapidly aging and shrinking populations in these areas. Using the UN's population estimates, we found 20 countries projected to have the largest percent decline in population from 2020 to 2050. While the world's population is expected to continue to grow for decades to come, many countries face serious demographic headwinds with low birth rate and immigration rates, leading to aging and shrinking populations. Japan is facing a demographic time bomb as young people in the country forego having children. And you can best believe that spirit is put on them, just like it's put on many of the young in this country. Oh, I can't work. I'm too depressed. I can't have kids. I don't want kids. I'm going to put my career first, and the hell with kids. I'll have them later. That spirit is on them, ladies and gentlemen, to do that. That spirit is placed on them. you know, but see, they don't, if you explained it to them, they would choose not to believe it. So don't waste your time. So anyway, Japan is facing a demographic time bomb as young people in the country forego having children. The BBC recently highlighted attempts to slow Bulgaria's population decline. Yeah, theirs is bad. Their population decline is really bad. The fastest in the world by improving educational and economic opportunities in the country, making it more attractive for young workers to stay rather than migrating elsewhere in the European Union or to other countries. While the United States is projected to keep growing for the foreseeable future, and that's among the Asians, the Black, and the Latinos. Americans are waiting longer to have children, suggesting a gradually aging population. Well, it's not gradual. That aging population is here already. Okay. They are here and they are the dominant right now. And the last biggest population in America, especially for the white race. After these baby boomers die out, all of these other generations to follow, way smaller, way smaller. To get a sense of the demographic challenges confronting different parts of the world, we found the countries projected to have the most rapidly shrinking population in the next few decades. The United Nations regularly publish demographic projections estimating how the world's population could change over the next several decades. The world population is definitely going to change. The darker people on the earth are going to be we are already the largest population. We're just scattered. Don't, and that's another thing. Don't let these people try to con you into believing that you are not a big population now. We're huge on this planet. We are. What they've done is inundate themselves here in America and then through all these other groups and lump them under white. But if you single out white, European descendant Americans, their numbers are already in the dumps. But see, they bulk up their numbers with foreigners. See, foreigners have been their best friend all this time. So even some Asians are lumped in as white. And when you go and look at what they classify as white, the Arabs, East Indians, many of the Hispanic populations that are here, okay? But as far as a white that came over here from Europe, their numbers are already teeny. And that's why I laugh. I had a couple of trolls write, well, we're 250 million strong. No, you're not. You don't have nowhere near that number because the only reason why you might have those numbers is because you're throwing everybody in the white pile. Okay, not for any other reason. You yourself are not that big. You're not even not only are you not that big in the United States, you're not that big globally either. You know, when everybody finally turns that light bulb on and see it for what it really is, things are going to change big time for you on this earth. You just wait and see. You just wait and see. For the purpose of our analysis, we excluded subregions or overseas territories of other countries like the French territory of Wallis and Futuna, which is projected by the UN to have an 18.7% population lost over the next 3 decades. Here are the fastest shrinking countries in the world. And ladies and gentlemen, these are all non-melanated countries. 20, Italy. The population is projected. They have a horrible birth rate. One of the lowest in Europe is Italy. Italy. The population is projected to drop from 60.5 million in 2020 to 54.4 million in 2050, a 10.1% decline. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all of these places where they have low birth rate, they will have the most rapid declines on the planet. Okay, always keep that in mind. They're going to have the most rapid over these next few decades. Cuba. Cuba, the population is projected to drop from 11.3 million in 2020 to 10.2 million in 2050, a 10.3% decline. Now, did you know Cuba has a low birth rate? And you know Puerto Rico did too? I didn't know that until they got hit with the hurricane and all of that came out. They were struggling to have babies on that island. And Cuba is struggling to have children. They're not having babies like they used to. Now, many of them are going to lie to you and tell you that's not the case, but it is the case. It is the case. North Macedonia. The population is projected to drop from 2.1 million in 2020 to 1.9 million in 2050, a 10.9% decline. Wow, you already don't have that much of a population, only 2.1 million? Ooh, that's nothing. Portugal. Portugal. The population is projected to drop from 10.2 million in 2020 to 9.1 million in 2050, a 10.9% decline. Again, do you notice it's all of the nations that claim they were developed and advanced? Well, how advanced are you with this happening? Not at all. Not at all. This is really pulling the wool off of everybody's eyes. The ones that have been boasting about being the best and being all the inventors of everything and done everything, those are the ones that are falling fast. Because it's not true, you know. And every time they lie and keep trying to push this false agenda about doing everything, the more you're going to see their numbers just rapidly decline. Their time is done. They were never meant to be here forever. When you go in the biblical text, it never said Gentiles would have everlasting life. This is proof of it right here. Their population decline. This is proof right here. Those that got ears, let them hear. Okay, those that have their ears filled with wax, I don't care if you're not listening, and I don't care if you don't believe me. You not believing me is not going to stop the population from declining in those countries that you come from. Georgia, the population is projected to drop from 4.0 million in 2020 to 3.5 million in 2050, an 11.8% decline. You know, there's a couple of gas stations in my state, not far from me, and the people that own it come out of Georgia, over there, you know, in Russia, in the Russian territory. Okay, Poland. The population is projected to drop from 37.8 million in 2020 to 33.3 million in 2050, a 12% decline. Hungary. The population is projected to drop from 9.7 million in 2020 to 8.5 million in 2050, a 12.3% decline. Yeah, that they're another one that they're right neck and neck with Italy as far as not having children, being one of the lowest in birth, childbirth in Europe. Estonia, the population is projected to drop from 1.3 million in 2020 to 1.2 million in 2050, a 12.7% decline. Wow, you barely got a population there now. 1.3 million people. That's all that's there in the whole country. Damn. Wow. Greece. The population is projected to drop from 10.4 million in 2020 to 9.0 million in 2050, a 13.4% decline. Now, I did a story on Greece, and the title of it was Where Are All the Children? They are putting their children in school, and sometimes the school has nothing but about 20 children in the whole village. There are literally classrooms with barely 8 children in it. I mean, it is really ridiculous. The whole school maybe have a total of 20 kids. That's how bad it is in Greece. There are some locations where there's really not that many kids in the school. And I did that story probably about a year ago. Romania. The population is projected to drop from 19.2 million in 2020 to 16.3 million in 2050, a 15.5% decline. Now, Romania is one of those countries back when Europeans were enslaving their own, they were heavily enslaved among their own people. See, this is the part of the history they will never tell you about them enslaving their own over in Europe. And Romania was one of those nations that got hit really bad with their men, women, and children being enslaved by other Europeans. And they still are. It's a lot of sex trafficking going on in countries like Romania that never ever ended. Albania, population is projected to drop from 2.9 million in 2020 to 2.4 million in 2050, a 15.8% decline. Wow. Man, some of these nations are already so tiny. That's it, 2.9 million. That's a tiny behind nation. And ladies and gentlemen, when you look at Europe's numbers countrywide and you look at Africa's numbers countrywide, there's no doubt who's the biggest on the earth. Look at these numbers. Come on. Anybody that believe these people are large on the earth, all I can say is you need your head examined. They are nowhere near large anywhere on the earth, not even here in the US. They're really not large here either. Japan, the population is projected to drop from 126.5 million in 2020 to 105.8 million in 2050. Damn, that is rapid. But Japan is doing so bad, they are trying to pay couples to have babies and offering them free homes, free vehicles, free everything just to have babies. And y'all, it's still not working. It's not working. Why? Why is it not working? All of these European nations are offering all kinds of perks and money for any couples that have babies. Why is it not working? Because their time is up. The time of the Gentile is over. And see, they've been lying all this time, telling you you're the Gentile. They are the Gentile. That's why you're seeing this happen to their population. They're the Gentile. Their time is done. As I stated before, they were never promised everlasting life on this planet. Never. That was not promised to them. So they got a 16.3% decline. That's huge. That's huge. These are projections, y'all. It can go a lot rapidly than the numbers I'm giving you now. And I believe it is going to speed up even more because if babies aren't coming, it's inevitable. It's not going to speed up. I mean, it's inevitable that it will accelerate even more if babies are not coming. Republic of Moldova. The population is projected to drop from 4 million in 2020 to 3.4 million in 2050, a 16.7% decline. Wow, another one, very little population. Croatia. The population is projected to drop from 4.1 million in 2020 to 3.4 million in 2050, an 18% decline. You see how these European nations are tiny? Again, this is proving to you that they're not big on this planet at all. I want you to keep noticing this kind of stuff. You know, we've all been hoodwinked. We've all been hoodwinked, big time. All of us. Bosnia and Herzegovina. This population is projected to drop from 3.3 million in 2020 to 2.7 million in 2050. That is an 18.2% decline. Wow, 3.3 million in the entire country. Woo, that is bad. Serbia, another one that have been struggling bad. And on top of not having babies in Serbia, the young population is leaving because they said there's no real good paying jobs there. So not only are they losing out in replenishing their population, their young people pretty much will leave because they want to make better income and have a better living. So, Serbia, the population is projected to drop from 8.7 million in 2020 to 7.1 million in 2050, 18.9% decline. Shoot, these people are practically teetering on a 20% decline. Ukraine, which we've heard a lot in the news thanks to Trump, the population is projected to drop from 43.7 million in 2020 to 35.2 million in 2050, a 19.5% decline. We know who's small on the earth. Latvia. The population is projected to drop from 1.9 million in 2020 to 1.5 million in 2050, a 21.6% decline. Woo! Man, they barely got a population now, 1.9 million? Damn. And I want you to also go online and look at these places. Okay? Look at these places. Because when I lived over in Germany and I started visiting some of these other countries that are there, let's just put it this way. They have a lot of old buildings there, really old. Real old communities, old looking buildings, very stony looking. That's what they look like when you go over there. Just like you see in the background, it very much looks like that all over the country. I'm not kidding you. Lithuania. The population is projected to drop from 2.7 million in 2020 to 2.1 million in 2050, a 22.1% decline. Y'all see this? Here we go. Bulgaria, who has by far one of the worst low birth rates in all of Europe. And they're another one trying to offer all kinds of perks, and those babies are just not coming. Bulgaria, the population is projected to drop from 6.9 million in 2020 to 5.4 million in 2050, a 22.5% decline. They don't hardly have a population there now. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, these folks are not big on the earth at all. If this doesn't prove it to you, nothing will. And as you can see, the only thing we will ever get are head games. If you are not going out there and pursuing the information and reading it, then you're going to believe anything that comes from these folks. But when you start looking at the demographics across Europe, North America, Australia, and you start looking at populations where it's more melanated, like South America and Africa and places like that, where you have a more darker people, these European populations and North American populations of European descended Americans here, their population looks like a handful of peanuts in comparison. But y'all, please tell me what you think. This is reality. This is the truth. And just know, whenever you hear about population decline and how the demographics are changing, it's changing in the locations that look the most like them, not us. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.